Yep. Okay, so we are live. Welcome to day one of the EQ challenge. Today we're going to talk about self-awareness. And as you come in, please check out post comments. At the end, I'll answer any questions as we go through and make this as interactive as possible. So we'll just get started. We're right up at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. So here we go. Emotional intelligence is defined as an individual's ability to sense, understand, and effectively apply the power of acumen of emotions to facilitate the higher level of collaboration and productivity. Basically, it's your ability to play really nice with others. And the higher you are on the scale, and the scale meaning whenever you can take a actual emotional intelligence scientific-based assessment that will show you in each area of the 5 quadrants. So EQ and emotional intelligence are kind of interchangeable. It was developed in the 90s by Daniel Goldberg. He wrote a book on it and did a bunch of scientific studies on people, and has found actually that the higher you are in emotional intelligence, the better you are able to regulate, work your job, and typically the person that is higher in EQ will tend to make 25% more money than somebody that has lower EQ. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and I'm really excited to share with you over the next few days. So regardless of where a person is today on the EQ scale, it is the one science that actually can be changed. So you can raise your level of emotional intelligence. And we're going to talk a little bit over the next 5 days on how you do that in each one. So the 5 quadrants are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, social awareness, and social regulation. And so tomorrow we'll talk more about self-regulation, but today let's just dive into self-awareness. So the definition of self-awareness from Webster's is conscious knowledge of one's character, feelings, motives, and desires. So the more you can become aware of your emotions and drives, the more that you can control those things. The first step is just being aware of when things are happening in your life, like triggers. So whenever somebody comes up to you and says something that ends up like triggering you emotionally, you have to be aware of that with certain people, certain situations. Self-awareness starts within, but it also starts with a series of questions. So make sure that you're writing down and taking some good notes over these. And I'm actually going to share a little bit of homework with you to let you dive into this a little bit deeper later on tonight. So one of the things that you're going to want to think about whenever you're triggered and you're starting to become more aware is how am I feeling? So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I feel really crummy, or 10 being I feel the best I've ever felt, would you share with me in the comments how you're feeling tonight if you so desire? And what I want you to do over the next few days especially, but it's a really good practice while you're looking to grow, to each day when you're journaling at the end of the day for sure, but even throughout the day as you're noticing that things are happening and maybe you're feeling your temperature rise, why don't you, like, from a scale of 1 to 10, Like in the morning when you get up, how do you feel? Are you feeling like a 10? You're like ready to go. Let's hit this day and make things happen. Or are you a little sluggish? And if you're a little more sluggish, why? Did you not sleep as well? Did you have some crazy dreams? Sometimes I have some crazy dreams, and then the next day I'm not quite my best. So what happened to make you feel where you were not able to be a 10? And then another way to gauge that is red, clear, or somewhere in between. So red meaning like you're just ready to explode and you're frustrated with a person or a situation. And clear meaning, you're feeling pretty zen. So where are you in the middle of that? Are you getting angry and frustrated? And think about ways that you can disengage with people that are tending to make you a little like, on a regular basis. Think about at this moment, do things feel easy or difficult? So when things are easy, do you tend to feel more zen? And then when things get difficult, do you then go to like a 1 or a 2? And why? So for me personally, I think that when things are easy sometimes, and I don't know that I like to affirm this, but sometimes when the easier that things are, that actually the lower my score might be. Because for a lot of my life, I have been driven by challenges and making things happen. And so that's not always the best coping mechanism either. So making sure that you're aware of, okay, so I'm a little driven by stress. I like to wait till the things get to the last minute and then I'm like, jam on, let's do this. Or am I able to be aware enough of that inside me that I'm able to step back and go, okay, like let me plan this a little bit better. And different behavioral styles will tend to engage and disengage in different ways. So understanding who you are at the core will also be beneficial when it comes to this. And so to improve decision making, you need to be journaling throughout the day and identifying your behaviors and then the people that are coming in and out of your day. Like, again, if somebody tends to be kind of stressful to you, can you spend less time with them? Or do you need to find better ways to manage your emotional response when you're with them? And we'll talk about that more throughout the week as we go on. And think about, do you have a realistic self-perception as compared to how other people see you? And so what does that mean, right? So do you think of yourself on one way, and that can be like you think you're really amazing or you think that you're not very good at all. Like, how is your perception of yourself? Or other people, do they perceive you the same way that you perceive yourself? And the way that you're going to figure this out is I want you to talk to 5 people that are close to you that you can get honest feedback, but not in a toxic way. So don't be going and asking people that you know hate you or your mom that just loves you. Make sure that you're asking for an unbiased person. Hey, I think of myself as this motivational rock star. Do you see the same? Or how can I improve in the way that my awareness of myself? And then reflect on the connections between your emotions and your behaviors. So our behaviors, everybody is made up of 4 different behavioral styles. We've got your D dominance, which is like how you prefer to make decisions. So the higher you are in preferring it would be the D direct, where some people prefer to make decisions in a slower, more laid back way. So I tend to like to make quick decisions. I like when people talk to me in a direct manner. And then you have your I's, your influencers. The influencers, they like to tell stories and engage people through story. And so that's would be the high. Where the low side, they're going to be more introverted and quiet. And then you have your S, your steady relators. So your high S's, they tend to prefer the pace of the environment to be pretty steady and quiet, versus your low S likes a really fast-paced environment. And then your C, compliance. The higher they are on the spectrum, the more apt they are to want to follow all the rules and procedures. Where the lower the C, they tend to want to break some rules, or they think that rules are made for other people and not necessarily them. So thinking about those behaviors, and that's behavioral styles, like where are you in that quadrant? Which one do you really connect most to? And then when people aren't communicating with you in your behavioral style, how does that make you feel? And so you can't address any aspect of EQ without first being aware of what's going on inside of you. If your mindset is altered and negative, then you cannot interact with everybody on a positive and productive way. So making sure that you're just gauging how you are and how when things are coming up in life, just making sure that you're journaling about it. So journaling is going to be huge for you as you're looking to grow forward, because when something happens in the moment, if you can just take a couple minutes to like write that down and say, okay, well, at 10 o'clock this morning, I was feeling pretty good, but somebody came up and they said this really dumb thing to me, and it ended up making me feel frustrated for the rest of the day. So that's a problem. If somebody can say something to you at 10 o'clock in the morning and the rest of the day, your day is shot, then you have an issue with regulating your emotions. But you have to be aware of it, and the way that you become aware is through journaling. And so if there's any questions or anybody has any comments, please let me know. And then tonight for your homework, for your journal, these are the questions, and I'll also put them in the comments. How in tune are you with your emotional temperature? Describe a time when you didn't realize that you were upset as you might have appeared. In what ways do your emotions affect other people? Can you think of a time when your emotions affected those around you in a positive way? And what about in a negative way? And then how in tune are you with your moods and emotions? How often do you laugh at your own expense? Now that's a big one, right? Do you find humor in your own shortcomings? So are you putting yourself down in order to alleviate some of the stress of a situation? And so if you wouldn't talk to your best friend like you're talking to yourself, then that's something that you're going to want to really work on when you're working on your self-awareness. And how would being more aware of your moods and emotions affect your decision-making abilities? And so these questions will really stem and help you to dig in and understand who you are and how aware you are. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about self-regulation. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock, Eastern and 6 o'clock Central. And I hope to see you then. And again, if you have any questions, I'll come back and answer them inside the chat. And have an amazing night.